Hey, what's up guys, it's ElasticSpyder here, and in today's video we are looking at the USS Kidd, and it is going to be a review, so that means I'm going to go over all the import things with the USS Kidd. So, the USS Kidd just got released today, and I know some of you might be thinking it might be a little bit too early for a review, but I think it is the perfect time for a review. Just so you guys, if you are thinking about buying it or still considering it, maybe I can change your mind, or maybe I don't, but that's what this video is kind of here to do, kind of diagnose and dissect the Kidd, what it's good at, what it's not good at, and whether or not you should buy it ultimately. So I hope you guys enjoy this review. Let's get into it. So the USS Kidd has 16,700 hit points, a little bit low when you compare it to something like the Benson. Of course, this captain on my Benson does have survivability expert, so that does give it about 2,800 extra HP. So that would be a very nice, but I'll show you guys a little bit later why I think the Kidd doesn't necessarily need that extra HP. And then obviously the armor is pretty standard. It is a US destroyer, and so 13 to 20 millimeters of armor is quite common. Artillery. The artillery on this ship is 527 millimeter guns. Very nice guns. They are the standard US destroyer guns on the Fletcher, so you will be looking at some very nice turret times, 180-degree turret times, 5.3 seconds reload. Let me actually take this captain out, just so you guys know what you're looking at. We're looking at 3.3 second reload, which is of course very nice. 106 meter dispersion, not too bad. 5.5% fire chance base, or 5% base, and then I've got a flag that boosts it up to 5.5. The AP is standard American destroyer AP, and it does a decent amount of damage when you get broadsides to cruisers and battleships. AP and HE velocity are slow at best, and you are able to shoot out to 12.1 kilometers, which is very nice. Torpedoes, you do only get one set of torpedoes. As you can see here, it is a single launcher, or it's one launcher with 5 torpedo tubes. These torpedoes do have 9.2 kilometer range and 55 knot torpedo speed, but they are detected at a mere 1.1 kilometers, which is very stealthy. But the one thing that is not the best about these is that it does get a rather long reload time at 122 seconds, as you see there. So these are good for mainly rushing, if you're rushing around a corner or something. That's what those are also good for. Other than that, it's somewhat aerial denial. You're not getting a lot of torpedo hits. However, in the replay I'm about to show you, I do get a few here and there. But those are the torpedoes. Very good torpedoes. I believe the Benson gets the same exact one. Of course, it gets 2 of them though, so yes, they are the exact same Benson torpedoes. But that's not the Kidd's specialty. Obviously, the Kidd's specialty is one of its specialties anyway is the AA suite on the ship. Looking at the 20mm Bofors, you do get a dual mounted 20mm Bofors. You get 6 of them across the ship, 2 mounts on each side, so that equates to 4 on each side, and then 2 in the rear. And I wish this would stop doing that. Average DPS 40 is 40 DPS, and then it starts at 2 kilometers, which is very nice. For your first set of 40mm Bofors, these are of course the dual mounted ones, so they aren't as potent as the quadruple mounted ones, but you get 3 of them, 2 in the front and 1 in the rear, as we see here. So these are of course 40mm Bofors. They go out to 4 kilometers, I think it starts actually at 3.5. I've got some upgrades still attached, so 3.5 kilometers is very nice, and they do 37 average damage per second. Again, now moving on to some more 40mm Bofors. These are, of course, are the quad mounted, which are very nice. They do 35 average DPS, and again, they go out to 3.5 when you are stock. Now, the main thing that I want to be focusing on here is these 127mm guns. In terms of AA, since they are dual purpose, they do work for AA. They do 50, I think around 54 average damage, which is quite good. But as you'll see when I get into my captain, it does tend to increase the AA or quite a bit. And of course, these are 5 kilometer range. So to start off, they are good AA guns. And as you'll see in a little bit, I will show you why they are so very potent. So that just about does it for AA. Maneuverability, we're looking at 39.9 knots. I do have speed flag on there, so but of course that only increases it by, I believe, 5%, so it's not too bad. 620 meter turning circle is not too bad. It's a little bit more sluggish than the Benson is, but of course the Benson is a very maneuverable ship, of course. But you do get a little bit more extra room to slap on another gun, and you also get insane AA. So in my opinion, the small increase in turning circle isn't all that bad. However, rudder shift is a little bit more clunkier. As I said, 3.9 compared to the Benson's 2.7, so it's near a second. So again, you are going to be slightly more sluggish, but that does help you because you do have something very special in the heal, which of course it does get, and I'll get into that in just one moment. This is a Fletcher hull, so detectability by sea 6.4 kilometers, 3.7 by air. This is of course when you're not shooting your guns, and then when you're shooting in smoke, which is a very good number to know, is 2.7 kilometers. So destroyers or any other ship will have to get within 2.7 kilometers of your smoke to detect you. So pretty standard for all destroyers. Let's go into my modules. Of course, these are, I run all premium, and of course the Kidd does get a heal, and the reason why I was saying earlier not to go with the survivability expert is because you get the heal. And if we do some calculations real quick, 100 HP time per second times the amount of seconds that it's active gives the total allotted HP that one heal can do, and that's 2800 HP, and that's that one heal equates to 2800 HP that you get from survivability expert. So just right there, you're already doing very well, and you're already outweighed that perk. So, and then multiply by 4 if you take Superintendent, you're looking at 11,200 damage that you can potentially take. So the heal is also very good. It reloads somewhat quick at 76 seconds, and of course 2 charges base if you get premium, and Superintendent you can get up to 4. Standard US destroyer smoke, of course, it's very nice, and then standard US destroyer defensive fire. It does have a 4 times multiplier now instead of a 3 times. It's one of the changes that was in 0613, so that is very nice, of course. Upgrades, I choose main armors mod 1, keep my torpedo tube in action, because there's been many times thus far where I've been almost reloaded on my torpedoes, and then someone hits them and I can no longer use them for another good 2 minutes. So that's something I would consider heavily when you're doing this. Most of the time, main armors mod 1 is the best choice to pick. Here I use AA Guns mod 2. This extends my AA range by 20%. It's very good on the Kidd. You can start sniping planes a little bit sooner, and it just adds to your overall strength of being this great AA boat. If you do have the defensive fire special upgrade, I would recommend using it on the Kidd. It is very good. And otherwise, you would just go with damage control. I use propulsion here. The main reason being the rotor shift is good enough, but the main reason is I don't have speed boost, and sometimes when I'm firing in smoke, I sometimes need to accelerate a little bit quicker, and this this does help quite a bit. And then of course concealment, because you don't need anything else. Let's slap on my commander. At the video you're about to see, I have a 17-point captain, but I did respec my Fletcher to do this build. It is slightly different than I would recommend on the Fletcher itself, but I go with preventive maintenance, which would be the same, last stand, which would be the same, and here's where I differ. Typically on the Fletcher I would go with survivability expert, and then concealment, manual AA, and then basic firing training, and then finally adrenaline rush. But for the Kidd, since it does get that heal and it gets more smoke, I pick superintendent instead of survivability expert, and I already explained why earlier when going through the heal. So this is my build. It's I think it's one of the most effective builds you can make on the Kidd, just because you maximize AA, you maximize stealth, you maximize your overall DPS between basic firing training and just having your heal, survivability. This is I think the ultimate build for the Kidd at this moment. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the replay. Alright guys, so looking at the gameplay now, obviously we are on Warrior's Path. Looking at the team distributions, we've got T9 matchmaking, so I'm right in the middle with a few tier 7s. Looks like just the Mayhem and Pensacola on their team, and then it looks like the Fiji and Shores on ours. So for the most part, it's pretty standard matchmaking that I think you would get for the Kidd, and this is pretty representative of what you might get in terms of your matchmaking. Of course, I have been up tiered a bit, but that shouldn't change how you play the Kidd nearly all that much. Now I am playing with one of my buddies, the Real Tugboat. We kind of sync dropped but didn't plan it, so we are playing together, and he's probably going to stick next to me this whole replay, so just be mindful of that. So I tried to get this game by myself, but it ended up just me ending up playing with another one of my friends. So either way, we're going to be going into B here. The Kidd has very good detection at 5.9 kilometers, so I'm not too worried about anything on the other team spotting me. It's the Kagero is going to spot me at 5.4 kilometers, but then again, Fletcher I can handle, Kidd I can handle, Mayhem I can just wreck, Kagero I can still also just wreck. And speaking of the Kidd, he gets spotted in B, and the Kagero is also getting spotted at B. Unfortunately, he is not running the full concealment build, or he doesn't have enough points, or whatever the reason is. So I detect him early, and I start opening up right before I get detected, and I start mowing him down. He's already at around, let's see, he's probably sitting at about 9k already, and I'm immediately taking fire. There's probably a good 6 or 7 people looking at me at this point. The Kidd's shooting at me, Pensacola, Missouri, St. Louis, and the other Missouri was also shooting at me. Pop my damage control a little bit early, but that's okay. I should be okay. Looks like, yes, I will be okay. And I'm going to conceal myself here and pop my heal. So first heal was a little bit early, used a little bit early, but it's always a little bit better to use your heals earlier than later, because if you do accidentally take a torpedo, let's say, and you haven't popped your heal yet, then then it's just a waste at that point. So you guys can't see this, but I was actually targeting the Iowa, and he was it looked like he was about to make a turn, so that's why I popped him, popped those torpedoes off on him there. And now I'm just waiting for this Kagero to pop out. Notice the angle I'm taking. I'm always preparing to sail away, and also I'm still just trying to stay in the cap as well, so that is something that you have to keep in mind when playing the Kidd. Positioning is very key in this ship, since you do overpower a lot of ships with your guns, but you know, you have to also be mindful that you only have a single torpedo launcher. Here I'm getting kind of wolf-packed, and this is somewhat dangerous. The Kagero, in my head, I was thinking Kagero launched torps, so I immediately pop my smoke. Still staying in the cap, I move forward here. This is something that you have to be mindful of. Now this Kidd, he tried to come out around the other side, which was a very good move on his part, but of course he did expose himself to some of my teammates, and here I'm just completely destroying him. Now at this point, I think that the Kagero, if he did launch his torpedoes, they wouldn't have come by now. And so I'm now trying to angle against the Kidd torpedoes, which come right there. Had he done the narrow spread, he probably would have got me there. Kagero popped some more torpedoes at me, and I'm gonna keep reversing. And you can see there the propulsion mod that I talked about earlier saved my butt there. Had I not had that instead of steering gear, I might have been in some bit of trouble. Now, let's finish this Kidd off. I reverse out of my smoke to spot this Kidd again. And at this range, he is dead, and at that HP, he is also dead. So, I think very good play and very good radar also by the Missouri, a real tugboat. He did help me out a bit there. So, at this point, now that I've got pretty much full control of the cap, all I have is just this tiny little Kagero that I shouldn't worry too much about. He can only spot me. I should be able to deal with him fairly easy. Get spotted here, and then Kagero is spotting right there, so I slow down because I notice the Missouri is coming up at the sector D6. So I slow down just in time, and my buddy in the Missouri takes the Kagero out. I probably could have done it myself, but there's 2 DDs down very, very quickly. So the cap pushing potential with this ship is incredible. You are basically a Fletcher, but then you add things like a heel on it, and just you just increase your survivability and potential to secure the cap, rather than in the Fletcher. Sometimes you might have to just throw torps at the enemy and kind of get into a small gun duel with the enemy. In this case, you really don't have. You can even throw your torpedoes out, widespread them if you like, and basically just DPS him down to the ground. And if you do take some damage, pop your heel early, pop your smoke. The only thing that can spot you then would be Hydra or radar. But even ships like the Z-46 will be worried about you in this ship, even though you are 1 tier lower. So I wait the Missouri radar out, and then as soon as he's out, as soon as that's done, I take the wide approach, of course, and I start pushing the enemy, because they only have 1 destroyer left, and it's the Fletcher. He's at A. Again, not too worried about him there. And shortly here, I'm going to pop my smoke. I'm in a good position. I know the Missouri just radared, and I see that my team at sea is flanking this Iowa, so I'm going to dump torps. Probably should have done it a little bit earlier, but it's okay. It should still distract them a little bit, and start focusing a different target, because if I can delete this Iowa very quickly with my torpedoes, and I'm already focusing on another target, and I get him to burn his damage count or something to that nature, then I'm increasing the amount of impact that I have on this match. I thought that I would turn a little bit more broadside. He doesn't, so that's why you saw the AP being used there. I get 1 torpedo hit, 1100 damage, which is not too bad, but of course the Yugumo had torps off on the Iowa, and he ends up killing him. Now, I'm going to start pelting this North Carolina pretty soon here. Now, the one thing that I do wish this ship had was actually Fletcher torpedoes. If this thing had Fletcher torpedoes, it would be probably a little bit too overpowered. Even in this state, it is slightly too powerful, in my opinion. just looking at the average damage that I had over the course of this this day, I've played about 11 battles, and I'm looking at 91k average damage. So that alone is higher than things like my Iowa, higher than things like my Udaloy, which is an actual gunboat, oddly enough, my Rune, you just name it, Zumo. So a lot of ships that are higher tiers than me, but I'm not doing as good in them just because this basically Fletcher is such a powerful ship. But if the Kidd had Fletcher torpedoes, at least the 10-kilometer range, I think that would be a little bit better. Sometimes it does get a bit dangerous and sometimes a bit annoying, having to look at your torpedoes and get so close to enemy ships to be able to torpedo them because of things like radar. But honestly, I think it is a good thing that they only have the one set of Benson torpedoes on here. It makes the ship more gunboat oriented, but also it does, I think, help balance it a little bit. So I got radared by the Missouri here, so at this point there's 30 seconds of radar, so I can pelt him for a few salvos, and as soon as I saw him turn his guns past me, I knew that it was okay for me to shoot and continue shooting. Trying to see my torpedoes here, that's why you see the quick zooming in and out, and pressing Z to follow those torpedoes, or following those shells, and also torpedoes. It looks like that guy is going to be taking at least one torpedo. Looks like two actually, which is very nice. And I'm just gonna start pelting him, of course. At this range, I would recommend switching to AP. I was hoping that I could get a fire, but he is such low health, and he's only 6 kilometers away, that my 5-inch shells will absolutely wreck him. And at this point, I'm not too worried about radar. I know it's still on about another 40 second cooldown if he's got premium, so I'm just going to continue shooting, and by the time he turns his guns and his guns are reloaded, he will certainly be dead, because he is showing me a very good amount of broadside. And you see there, I was just melting him, as well with a little bit of help, but constantly doing very good damage. So I think 500 damage per shell, which is very nice. If you do aim at the upper armor belt, you can get very easy 22,000, 2,400. I've even seen 3,500k salvos if you get all pens and no over pens. Get spotted here. I am actually alt tabbed at this point because I did stream this earlier, so otherwise this guy would probably be at about 10k, so it's about 4k is when 4 kilometers out is when I noticed. I'm like, oh shit, gotta pop my heel. So this wasn't really a fair engagement. He had the advantage on me for sure, but I'm still gonna out DPS him. Like I said, or maybe I didn't say, at this point, at this replay, I only have a 17-point captain, so AR would be helping me here had I had it, but as you can see, I was just demolishing this Fletcher. Even without, I popped the heal early, but even without the heal, I still might have been able to survive that. So overall, this was a pretty solid game. The game's gonna pretty much end here. I'm gonna cap, and I can't get to the Missouri in time, so I'm just gonna discuss what I think about the Kidd overall. So overall, I think it is a very good ship. If you are looking to buy it and you love the U.S. Destroyer gameplay, I would get it. I would honestly get it for $40. I think you are getting a very good ship. And people ask me actually if this ship does give some like hidden XP bonus like The Sims does, I think, for base XP. I don't actually know. I don't think it does, but from my experience, whether there's a carrier in the game or not, you are just so powerful, and you can do so much that between the caps, the just overall gunboating against destroyers, then the insane amount of base XP you can get from having shooting down planes, you do get a lot of base XP. I checked my stats after the stats in World of Warships itself, and I've got about 2,700 average XP per battle. So very, very nice. And almost all of my games have been over 2k base XP, except for like 1 or 2. So very good replay. I hope you guys enjoy. Looking at the post-battle results, though, we're looking at 741 grand, walk away with 8k XP, 104k average damage, 177 shell hits, 3 torpedo hits between the Missouri and Iowa, 1 plane shut down. There's no CV in the game. I can post a CV replay that was with the CV in it. If you guys want me to, let me know down in the comment section. I ended up getting 3 kills, 2 of which were on destroyers, or actually I think 3 of which, no, 2 of which were on destroyers, the Kidd and then the Fletcher. 1 fire, 3 torpedoes for 3 floodings, 4 base defense, a solo base gap, an assisted base gap. Not too bad overall. 2953 base XP. My friend Real Tugboat, he ended up scoring 1800, and I just completely demolished the leaderboard, the leaderboard, and you can see that by the vast difference. It's nearly 1150 base XP between us, which is nearly double. But let's move on to the detailed report. 65k from main battery, 14 from AP, the rest from HE. Torpedoes, 34k. Very nice, of course. Causing the main thing is with these torpedoes, they are, I think, designed to either burn damage cons or let people flood. So basically you burn someone down and then you hit them with a torpedo, hopefully, and then they flood their full duration, or you hit someone with a torpedo and then you focus them with your guns, vice versa. It doesn't matter. Unfortunately, I didn't see a lot of that in this. We didn't see a lot of that in this replay, but that's what I've been noticing a lot in this replay. But of course, you do that a lot in destroyers in general, so I guess it is kind of standard protocol in that respect. 664 potential damage fired my way, and I had a good majority of the cap points for my team. Damage received 17,000, nearly 18,000, and I still had, I think, 2 or 3 heals left. So, and I did lose a lot of HP by letting that Fletcher just gun me down for a good 5 to 10 seconds. So something also you have to keep in mind with that. And then finally, credits and XP, 600 grand at T8. T8 premiums are the best for credits and XP, so that's why you see these awesome numbers here. So what do you guys think? I hope you enjoyed the replay. If you are looking to get the Kidd, as I said earlier, I would recommend it, especially if you like US Destroyer gameplay. If you like more torpedo-oriented, then I probably wouldn't get this ship. But if you love shooting down planes, get the ship. If you love US Destroyer just gunnery in general, and just moving around the map, moving cap to cap, I would get this ship. I think it is a blast. Even if you aren't necessarily the best US Destroyer player, I still think it is a very good premium. And again, between the plane kills, between the damage, between the capping, you will see very good results and very good XP gains from this ship as well. And like I said earlier, it's a T8 premium. You're gonna get a lot of good credits and XP from it anyway. So I think that just about does it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about this review, how it's structured and everything. If you did like it, leave a like. If you didn't like it, leave a dislike. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next